Hi everyone. So this is our bi-weekly Vectis call. Today we're going to discuss with you the design of our DAO, and just in general, like research that we have done on whilst we were setting our parameters, and what we're planning to do from here onwards. So to start with, we're using the dAO platform. I'm just gonna like run through quickly how like what you can set with the dAO and like the some other projects that have used that platform and what they have like how they have designed their own DAOs and what we think are best practices. So to start with, in order to create a DAO, you could have these kind of like two different ways to approach the design. So you can either do more as a membership-based DAO or as a token governance DAO. And as you expect, these two would work quite differently. So with like membership-based DAOs, like we extracted the ones that are membership-based, and it does look like it is used a lot more for like giving out funds within a team that already exists. So for example, if you're in a company and you have to distribute, say, salaries or bonuses or rewards, or you just want to vote on projects within your team, membership approach looks like the safest and the easiest to use. As I said, it is actually a lot more straightforward than the token based one, because you don't have a token, you just have the members, and they all like have to vote in people in and out of the membership. So like if you have a new team member, you just all vote in to get him in, or you can vote people out and so on. And you have like different tiers as well. So like you can have an admin, and yeah. So another thing that we notice is some of the DAOs are token based, but a percentage of their token they they have like moved for a membership DAO. So basically, for example, they have a token based main DAO, and an account from that token based DAO is an admin for a separate membership DAO that is the basically the dev team, the core dev team. So funding from the main DAO can be voted on to be given to the dev team, and then the dev team themselves they would add memberships as the team expands. So here I've basically in the spreadsheet I have some of the parameters of these DAOs, and I've tried to calculate attack vectors, and all of them he's like the token price. I have the sources for the price is the JunoSwap. In order to calculate the attack vector, which is in the worst case scenario. So because we try to be as pessimistic as possible, of course you'd rather be on the safe side when it comes to these things. So we've calculated so basically you have quorum, you need to set up a quorum. What that means is like what percentage of the staked token needs to have been voting for a proposal for it to pass. So like in this case, for example, for RoDAO, their quorum is 10%. So we have a staked token of this much. So you basically need 10% of those staked tokens to have voted in order for the proposal to be executed, or like if it's a no, to not go through. So in order to calculate the attack vector, we basically, in the worst case scenario, is like the total staked. If we assume that all of those staked are the teams, and we usually saw that the teams would put around 10%. That is also the default value on the DAO. So like basically, let's assume that all of these are team members that have been staking. So in order for an attacker to win, they need to hold the quorum. So whatever they hold, it needs to be like 10% of the staked tokens that they need to vote for, so that the proposal could even like pass. So that's obviously in the case that the team is not watching over what's happening. Of course, if the team sees that there is a malicious proposal, they'll vote, and then that attack will become more and more expensive. But yeah, so we've calculated the attack vectors on all of these. And as I said, like if the team is careful, that is a much higher price to pay. And another thing is the proposal. So you need to set a proposal deposit. So like the idea of this is you wouldn't want people to flood the system with a lot of proposals, so you would want them to lock some of their tokens for those proposals. And so far, these proposals are not refundable on almost all of the token-based DAOs, apart from these two, but they have no funds in them. So yeah. And so how, also another thing of how these work is some of them have initial distribution, like as I said, 10% for the team, X% for future rewards. So for example, in the road DAO case, you they give out APR for staking. So they basically at the beginning they're like they've put aside, I think it was 40% or something like that from the tokens for rewards, and they're distributing those awards as time goes. So that's one option. There's also like I saw, I can't see who it was, one sec. Yeah, so this one, which was 21, that's the plurigrid. These guys don't like, they just decided at some point they voted for like distributing further rewards. So you may not have it as a automated staking. It can be that with time like users vote onto distributing more rewards. How we envision it for the future, it might be good to have like reward schedules, which is like what quite a lot of them do. But it looks like the schedule is usually connected to time, which obviously we don't know how the market goes. So if you set up a specific date from when onwards, you have a different reward. You would incentivize people, I guess, beforehand. But it might be better to use number of users. So like, for example, the schedule would be if you have if you reach 100 users, give them that much to a reward, then the next 100 would get a little bit less. And you have a token limit, of course. So I mean, some of them don't, but we would have a total supply limit. So basically in that way we incentivize people to join in earlier. Yeah, so that's an interesting comparison table. Some of these parameters we couldn't get because they're not they weren't visible on the actual DAO. Yeah, so that was kind of like our initial, let's have a look what other people have done in this community. And then we decided to experiment with designing our DAO. So we took Ethereum's like unique addresses curve, because that's what we found available, and we decided to scale it down by how much we think users we have to approach as an upper limit. And then of course that's a parameter that we can vary. So we've played about with like different number of users, like we tried with 100,000, with 1 million, just to see like how it changes. So this is the source of this data. It's open, if anyone can download it. So we scaled it for our case. So as I said, this is basically we have the spreadsheet DAO dynamics that this is where we write our parameters. So anything that I change here, for example, max users would be translated into here automatically. So this is again the Ethereum ones. Then we rebase the date because we will be starting later on. That was supposed to be 2023. Oh, okay. Whoops. Okay, I'll fix that later. And then here we basically, as you can see, these are active users per day. So we couldn't get average users onboarded, which is what would have been great to have, but that was just the data we could find online. And of course, the daily data is different because like on some days you have a lot of trading, on some others you don't. So what we needed from here was more like how many users on average we're having like as time goes. So what we've done here is first scale down to our max Vectis users that we think, and also calculate like a monthly rowing average. And this is the active users curve that we think Vectis would be following. I'll change that to 2023, as I said again. And yeah, so from now, for like our first DAO design, we have a few limitations, which is of course absolutely normal, because we're still in building phase. But what our aim is to start off with a DAO that is safe, that we know we can, as a developers team, control at the beginning whilst we are still designing it, but then with time, it obviously progressively decentralizes. This is our idea. And as of the beginning, for example, we have some, as I said, limitations. We don't have automated like price oracles, so we'll have to hard code some things that will be later on updatable. But yeah, so that's a sort of a design that we tried. For example, say we will have 10 Govec per user. On this plot, we can see how quickly users would onboard, and then what time would the team lose control of the DAO, and like when do we envision the DAO will be controlled by the community more than the team. Yeah, and again, we've calculated the tag vectors, and all of those parameters are variable. And if we update, for example, let's say we give 5 Govec per user, this automatically updates. So now the users, the team would have, as we said, team would have 10%, so it will be 500,000. Yeah, and then if we go back, yes, we can see changes, and everything scales, so we can play about with these parameters. And yeah, by the looks of like what other teams have done as well, people do update the tokenomics of the DAOs quite a bit. And of course, that is because markets are changing. You cannot really envision what is going to happen in like 5 years, but to be able to have control in a safe way and then update to what is best at the time and best practices is what we think would be the way forward. Yeah, and we're really excited to try out other tests as well. We're now working on going through different reward distributions over time, and what's like the easiest and most straightforward way to do that from the user's perspective, and like safest in terms of like programming as well, and keeping the DAO safe. And yeah, that was it from me for now. And when we have more updates on the tokenomics, we're gonna give you another one of these run through the DAO parameters. Yeah, video. That was for me.
Yeah. Thank you, Elena. Fantastic.
Any questions? Oh, also last thing, for example, here does own live. So like This is the Juno live price. So we can see at any like moment in time what's the attack vector on the platform. That was the last thing. Yeah, thanks.
That's great. Thank you. So Betsy, okay.
Oh, sorry.
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 I thought you were already unmuted.
No, I just that a very sort of, if anyone has sort of listened to previous calls, the reason we're not like GovEx are minted per wallet creation, and so it's by user in this case, it's just like how many GovEx that you get if you create a new wallet on with VectisDAO. Just want to add that in. And when you create a wallet, there's a fee that goes towards DAO, and that's where the price comes in. I'm just not sure that everyone knows
Yeah,
that.
of course. Yeah, I kind of like assumed that.
Yeah.
Good point. Is
Yeah.
best to clarify that. Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
I can stop sharing if anyone has any questions, obviously, go ahead. Otherwise I can stop sharing. Yeah, let me know.
No, this is good. I think another thing that we wanted to make sure when we talked about this is that as Elena said, we don't want the proposals to be to sort of flood, and so given that the user, if they create one wallet, they'll get 10 GovX in the spreadsheet, then the proposal deposit having would mean that people would have to sort of give the tokens to someone that they trust, maybe through like a forum or something, or that people would really want to create multiple wallet, which means they have to pay fees into the DAO in order to have the proposal deposit. So that's something that we want to keep in mind. Another thing, we just said here, there's GovEx are whitelisted as it is now on testnet, which means that like you have to have a proxy wallet in order to receive any. And you could also obviously leave the DAO, and then we'll burn the amount of GovEx that was given to you at the beginning. And therefore it's important to note that like it's at least for this version, we're not expecting it to be something that people would just go and buy and sell, because you wouldn't. There's the idea of GovEx is to create engagement with the DAO, and rather than in this phase, rather than having a community token that we could build with. So because the treasury would mainly have Junos, and so the GovEx, I guess Elena put it correct, like really well, is that the GovEx sort of dictates what happens to that treasury of Junos. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have on this.
Great.
Cool.
Okay.
And then we want to just quickly talk about the development roadmap.
Yes, please.
And what is coming on next. We basically in the last week we've done multi-contract tests on the current contracts, and then we're well on the way on actually testing on local test nets for the IBC communication, and also basically different interactions on different chains. You can follow that on our GitHub issue, and last but not least, we have created a channel on our Discord called plugins. We currently have a very sort of initial idea of what these are, but basically plugin is something that we want to engage developers to build. It's a smart contract instance that a proxy wallet controller can instantiate, and it would hold business logic in that smart contract in some states, and it will expose at least expose one execution message, such that the smart contract wallet would know sort of how to call it, and then the smart contract wallet would have plugin in the state and some permission. So, for example, I could have a subscription plugin that I've dedicated to someone else that could call this at a certain frequency. So I could say, you know, every X amount of blocks or time, and also like how much fund I will send out per transaction. The idea of this is that your wallet becomes something to host these plugins. It helps you automate some transactions, and also basically extend the wallet functionality to anyone who is interested to doing that, because ultimately the DAO would be able to ideally sort of pay to vet these plugins at the same, and then we could curate a list of safe plugins for users to use as well. And yeah, so come join the channel and discuss. I know we've sort of had a quick discussion on DAO regarding sort of like allowances. People were like thinking about what like other uses of allowances, but this could be something even furthermore. And we're trying to do a sort of a plugin demo, and we'll document all of that in the channel, and then hopefully invite like bots company or people who build software that does that, like and Javier mentioned CroneCat, to see how we could collaborate on that. So yeah, that will be all we have from me. Anyone else?
Yes, I would like to show a little bit in detail what we have in the deploy script. Just if someone want to test what we have and try in a local environment. So I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so as Belsi mentioned, we were working in the Rust test. They are pretty much done. We are ending in the client side test. We have all the tests in the folder test. We are testing the functionality of the channels in that test. We are testing the IBC functionality between channels. Yeah, so we try to separate the test from for users, relayers, also the DAO. We create some function which are for do execution for the DAO. Let me. Sorry, I know. Yeah, that one. Sorry, I wasn't in the latest branch. So this is that one is the latest. So as I said, I create some utils method to create proposal from the wallet. It doesn't matter if you are using the Proxy wallet in the DAO chain or the in the remote chain. It will call the proposal in the local chain, or it will call through IBC. In the we have a folder script where we generate the types, upload the contract. When we upload the contract, after that we verify the upload is right. So we verify the checksum, the sign, and everything is as expected. We separate that part. Before we had this part inside the test, but we decide will be better to do the check before the deploy. So after upload and also after deploy, we verify everything is as expected. We have in this case we verify the checksum, the site, and the code IDs, and in the deploy script, after do the deploy, we will see in detail. We also verify the deployer not doesn't have government tokens. There is not admin the DAO, the supply, the number of proposal, because when we deploy the remote tunnel, the factory, the remote factory, we have to do it through proposal of the DAO. So it's we should execute 4. Yeah, like other contracts, they have as admin the DAO, because the DAO can update the contract. So we verify all this state after the deployment. Yeah, we separate that part, and also we just focus on functionality in the test. Regarding the deploy script, we added those variable to say what is the host and remote chain, and after that it connect with the host, it connect with the remote, and it deploy and instantiate, it create the proposal to deploy the factory, and all the flow to have everything done to work. Yeah, it's like we have before, but we did some changes in the deploy. Yeah, I think it will be great to check. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Hey, thank you, Javier. That's really interesting and cool. So, guys, everything on our side from now. Talk to you in 2 weeks. Beth is still on mute. Okay.
No, sorry, that was it. Yeah, no. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.